Imagine picking up your daily newspaper, the one you've relied on for years, and seeing something that shocks you, a sudden shift in tone, a palpable change in editorial direction. That's exactly what happened recently with one of the largest newspapers in the United States, the Los Angeles Times. What seemed unthinkable has now become reality. The billionaire owner of the paper, Patrick Soon-Shiong, has allegedly instructed his editorial staff to back off from criticizing Donald Trump. Not only that, but if they must report on him, they are now expected to offer a counterpiece defending whatever controversial actions Trump has taken. So, what happened? Why would a major media outlet, once known for holding power to account, suddenly pivot in this way? This change in editorial policy raises troubling questions. What does it mean for journalism? And what does it say about the state of corporate media in America? This development isn't just happening in the LA Times. It's part of a larger trend sweeping through media organizations nationwide. From the Washington Post to MSNBC, from ABC News to Facebook, more and more corporate media outlets seem to be caving under the pressure of Donald Trump's influence. As we dive deeper into this issue, we'll examine why it's happening, what the implications are for journalism, and whether this is a momentary lapse or a dangerous turning point for media in America. The LA Times and Trump, a shift in editorial direction. The LA Times, a cornerstone of West Coast journalism, has long been known for its independent stance. So, when news broke that Patrick Soon-Shiong, the billionaire owner, had directed the editorial board to go easy on Donald Trump, many were taken aback. Why would a major newspaper, with such an influential platform, suddenly make a decision that contradicts its journalistic integrity? According to reports, Soon-Shiong instructed the LA Times staff to reduce the focus on Trump and to adopt a more lenient editorial tone toward him. The most startling aspect of this new policy is the directive to publish counterarticles defending Trump's controversial actions whenever the paper reports negatively about him. This approach appears to be part of a broader strategy to avoid the wrath of a former president who has shown time and again that he is more than willing to use his considerable influence to target those who challenge him. But this is not an isolated case. What's happening with the LA Times is just one example of a wider trend. Increasingly, media outlets across the country are shifting their tone when it comes to Trump. From the Washington Post to ABC News, even outlets with historically liberal editorial lines are now treading lightly. This shift begs the question, why is the media, once seen as a watchdog of democracy, suddenly backing down from holding Trump accountable? The fear factor. Why are media outlets caving in? To understand why media organizations are shifting their coverage, we need to examine the role of fear in this equation. In many ways, the corporate media in America is caught in a delicate balancing act. On one side, they are under pressure to maintain journalistic standards, including holding politicians accountable. On the other hand, they are facing the ever-present threat of retribution from a powerful political figure like Donald Trump. It's no secret that Trump has a long history of weaponizing government institutions, legal battles, and media smear campaigns against anyone he perceives as a threat. The prospect of such retaliation is real, and many media outlets are understandably wary of provoking him. Trump has made it clear that he is not afraid to go after media outlets that criticize him, using legal action, harassment, or even encouraging his supporters to target them. For many media companies, it seems like a practical business decision to avoid antagonizing the former president. After all, many of these organizations are corporate-owned entities with a bottom line to protect. They rely on advertising revenue, subscription numbers, and public perception to stay afloat. If they risk alienating a portion of their audience by being too harsh on Trump, the financial consequences could be dire. So, rather than risking the wrath of the Trump machine, they choose to soften their stance, hoping to avoid a battle they know they can't win. The role of billionaire media owners. While fear of Trump's retribution plays a significant role, the influence of billionaire media owners like Patrick Soon-Shiong cannot be overlooked. In recent years, the consolidation of media outlets under the control of a few wealthy individuals has become more prevalent. These billionaires often have their own political leanings, personal interests, and business concerns that influence editorial decisions. Soon-Shiong is just the latest example of how corporate media in America is increasingly controlled by individuals who may not prioritize independent journalism over profit or political alliances. The LA Times, like other major outlets, has become part of a broader system where media companies are no longer acting solely as purveyors of news and information. Instead, they are often seen as extensions of their owners' political and economic interests. This corporate influence over the media is a growing concern for many who believe that journalism should be independent and free from the pressures of corporate and political forces. When billionaire owners dictate editorial policies, it's hard not to wonder whether media outlets can truly fulfill their role as watchdogs of democracy. The impact on journalism, a dangerous precedent. The consequences of this shift in media coverage are far-reaching, and they threaten the integrity of journalism in America. When the media softens its stance on holding powerful figures like Donald Trump accountable, it sets a dangerous precedent. Journalistic independence is eroded, and the public is left with a watered-down version of the truth. By catering to Trump and his supporters, these media outlets are contributing to the normalization of a political climate where truth, accountability, and scrutiny are no longer prioritized. Instead of acting as an impartial observer, the media is becoming an accomplice in perpetuating the political power of those who can intimidate, threaten, or by their silence. This trend also has broader implications for democracy itself. A healthy democracy relies on an informed electorate, and the media plays a central role in that process. When media outlets are afraid to challenge powerful figures, the public loses access to the critical information they need to make informed decisions. If the press becomes complicit in protecting the interests of the powerful, the very foundation of democratic society is undermined. The growing trend of media outlets bowing to Donald Trump is not just a passing moment in American journalism, it is a symptom of a deeper issue that has been brewing for years. The consolidation of media under corporate control, the rise of billionaire owners with their own agendas, and the increasing fear of retribution from powerful political figures have combined to create a media environment where objectivity and accountability are compromised. As we look ahead, we must ask ourselves, what does the future hold for journalism? Will we continue down this dangerous path where the media becomes a tool for the rich and powerful, or can we find a way to return to the core principles of independent, fearless reporting? The decisions made by outlets like the LA Times may seem like isolated cases, but they are part of a much larger trend that has the potential to reshape the entire media landscape. For those who care about the future of democracy, this is a moment of reckoning. If we allow the media to bow down to political figures like Donald Trump, we risk losing the very thing that makes journalism so vital, its independence. It is up to all of us to demand better from the press, to hold media outlets accountable, and to ensure that the truth always comes first. In the end, the future of journalism may not be determined by the corporate owners or the political elites, but by the people who still believe in the power of the press to inform, challenge, and uphold the truth. As consumers of news, we must decide whether we are willing to accept a media landscape that serves the interests of billionaires and politicians, or if we are willing to fight for a press that serves the public good.